I was doing my usual fall swipe gaming writing, right? And I had to write some stuff about Gen 7 Ubers. And I remember Gen 7 Ubers fondly. I really liked it when it first came out, and I didn't follow it much longer after the initial few months, where I actually wound up playing it in SPL and played one of my favorite games ever. And then another game where I assumed my opponent would do something intelligent, foolishly. And but I really liked it, and if I would watch a Gen 7 Ubers game, then I would genuinely, well, yes, I would genuinely enjoy it, but I would generally enjoy it. I wouldn't look at it and go, what's going on here? So, I remember it pretty decently, but if I'm going to be writing about it, I better, brush up on the details, stuff I might have forgotten, or stuff that I never knew or learned to begin with. So, I was enjoying the process, because it's a pretty good thing to have to go do. Oh no, I gotta learn about Gen 7 Uber so I can write about it. But as I was doing this, I was writing about, the prospect of dealing with Necrozma Duskmane, and then by extension sometimes Ultra Necrozma, excuse me. And, I mean, I've written about Gen 7 Ubers a million times before, and how crazy those two are. But for this time, I don't know why, but I began. Okay, let me try for the fourth time to get this statement out. I was gripped by the sort of cosmic horror, some sort of like Pokemon equivalent to Lovecraft. And yes, for those wondering, I know what he named his cat. Okay, I know he was a piece of shit. I can't tell someone, oh yeah, I read the Call of Cthulhu recently. Oh, did you know what he named his cat? Yeah, okay, I know. Anyway, I'm so used to prompting internet, or not even internet arguments, the arguments with people in my head, which usually, I'm like, oh, get off the internet, and it stops. But recently they've been happening in real life too, and I'm just like, how? Anyway, so, yeah, it's kind of like, it's weird because it's kind of like the cosmic horror, the subtle streak of cosmic horror streaked throughout the Texas Chainsaw Massacre that begins with, the solar flares and its images of the sun. Because the sun is something that you've seen a million times before, but the way it's linked to this kind of feeling of, domination and uselessness and helplessness does kind of remind me of how I felt writing about Necrozma Duskmane and Ultra Necrozma. Obviously, this is not a totally paralyzing form of emotion for someone, getting ready to go, oh yeah, he's having emotions over Pokemon again. Try having emotions over anything. See, I'm doing it again, getting into arguments. This is what the Call of the Duskmane is doing to me. Anyway, so yeah, I realize this sounds a little more schizophrenic than usual, but I really am running out of hours in the day to do everything, and I want to keep this daily upload streak going. But yeah, the reason why it reminded me of the sun is because I've thought about Duskmane and Ultra Necrozma and written about it for Fall Swipe so many times before, but this time for some reason I understood conceptually like why it was pretty wild that Duskmane could just turn into Ultra Necrozma, but for some reason when I was writing about it just now, then it really sunk in. This like. Maybe I'm just cracking up in general, and this is just the vessel that my cracking up has chosen to take because it was there in front of me. But it was weird because for some reason this time I was really, maybe I just put myself in the shoes of a Gen 7 Ubers player like more fully than I had before. I experienced that wave of like almost incomprehensibility that this even exists. Now, I'm more than familiar with, Pokemon changing forms mid-battle, obviously. What else are Mega Evolutions? But generally, if a Pokemon is going to Mega Evolve, it is an extent of what it already is, right? It's going to maintain one of its types. Most of them tend to have, a strategy like the one its base form does, Obviously, in the case of junk like a Mega Beedrill, then, its base form has no strategy, so. But, you get the point that, you are going to still be dealing with largely the same Pokemon, just a much, much better version of it. And yeah, sometimes there's typing changes, like it used to be this dilemma in XYOU with Keldeo against Gyarados. Do I Secret Sword on the Mega Evolution, or do I, HP Electric, because people are running Scarf Keldeo, as it stays in base Gyara form. But, by and large, you still, it's not a foreign concept, or not even foreign concept, you're not completely dealing with these sort of alien factors when taking them on, right? Like ground and water types generally help you play around Mega Charizard X. Obviously, the Zard guessing game is its own thing, but you get the idea. Charizard's a fire type, and a lot of the you use something like Heatran too a lot of the time. I'm not saying hard counter because the Zards are very difficult. To hard counter in either form, but generally the way you would play around a fire type is going to apply to that Mega Evolution. Obviously, you switch in Latios expecting Megazard Y and getting Dragon Clawed by Zard X is, a bad feeling, but I don't think that happens much anymore. But yeah, you get the idea. It's still basically it's a much better version of the Pokemon it already is, right? Or you look at something like Tyranitar, which is like literally just T-Tar, but with better stats everywhere. So the Duskmane to Ultra pipeline is not really the right word, but whatever. Transformation is so bizarre because Duskmane, it's not even that they don't even share a type. Well, they share a Psychic type, I guess. But it's more about the fact that Necrozma Duskmane is not using dragon attacks. Let me rephrase this. Well, first of all, it's true, but it's more about the fact that Duskmane is never using dragon moves, like because it's it's not a dragon type. The Psychic type is a part of it, but it's not as much a part of it. It's primarily a Steel type that turns into primarily a Dragon type. Whenever I would write about it before, I would say, imagine if like Metagross transformed into Latios, halfway through the game. Like they're both Psychic types, but they're not primarily Psychic types. And more than that, it's not just about the typing, but about the stats as well. Like Duskmane Necrozma is slow. It's really slow, and Ultra Necrozma is really, really fast. So it's not just that it completely changes, typing, and not completely changes typing, but it changes its primary typing, the one it's attacking with. Duskmane uses Sunsteel Strike, and what use does Ultra Necrozma have for that move? None. So it basically, and it is sort of like the Megazards in that you don't know which one you're facing immediately. Now, I'm sure an experienced Gen 7 Ubers player would be able to suss it out from team preview, from the way it's switched in, things like that. But it's not even about the specifics of how to counter Ultra Necrozma so much as the mind-boggling concept of one Pokemon turning into such a different Pokemon. It's in mid-battle. Oh my god! I mean, it's one thing if it'd be like a crazy evolution or something, but Ultra Necrozma is at least not really bulky in the way that that Duskmane is. But it has a different ability. It has Neuroforce. And Duskmane has it's like that Solid Rock equivalent, if I remember correctly, Prism Armor or something. So it's just completely changing everything about it. It's not like Necrozma Duskmane, but a lot better, and maybe it has a different secondary typing that because for it to be more like a Mega Evolution, it would still have to like primarily use its primary type, which is Steel. So it'd be like a Steel Dragon type. You use the Steel Stab and the Dragon Stab. Oh wow, it's cool because your Dragon Stab isn't threatened by Fairy types. But no, it's like it's something else completely. You go from this slow, tanky attacker to this extremely fast, extremely powerful glass cannon. And just conceptually, I was having a real hard time wrapping my mind around that. For some reason, I don't know why. I don't know what it was today. And obviously, even their special moves are different. With Necrozma having the best, move name ever, Light That Burns the Sky. What a flair for the dramatic that Pokemon has. But yeah, that's basically it. I just wanted to share this quick thought I had. And, yeah.